This is Amy Poehler. My new movie, Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, is coming to theaters June 14th, and it's making me feel joy and sadness and anger, definitely some disgust, and I think a little fear. But I'm also feeling these new emotions like anxiety, embarrassment, envy, and ennui.
It's what you call the boredom.
Okay, that one was weird. It's gonna be the feel everything movie of the summer. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, rated PG, parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters June 14th. Get tickets now.
Welcome to RulaskaThoughts. My name is Joe Batance. Very special episode. We have Yvie Oddly on today for the full, 90% of the show. Adam Salandra is joining me too. Robert Mata's on special assignment right here on RulaskaThoughts. Like I said, this is RulaskaThoughts for All-Star Season 9, Episode 3. Even though we will not be talking about All-Stars Season 9, Episode 3 today, it's an unusual episode. We're going to be actually interviewing Yvie Oddly. She's here for the bulk of the show. She'll be here after the break. And before we do that, we'll have some show business I want to cover, actually. So, part number one that I want to talk about is we got an email from a guy named Christopher. And Christopher writes to me, the subject line is Cleopatra and the Rug. And it says, "Hi, Joe. Just wanted to explain the rug reveal for Vanjie, also known as Cleopatra in All-Stars 9 Snatch Game of Love. Back in 47 BC, Julius Caesar, emperor of ancient Rome, and Ptolemy, pharaoh of ancient Egypt, were more or less at war. Ptolemy's sister Cleopatra wanted to end the war and build an alliance with Rome instead, but there was no way that she could meet openly with Caesar in defiance of her brother, the pharaoh. So, as legend has it, she wrapped herself up in a carpet to be delivered to Caesar as a gift, as a way of smuggling herself into Caesar's camp. They met, the alliance was made, Ptolemy got the chop, Cleopatra became queen, and the rest is literally history." Did this really happen? Unclear. The whole carpet thing is probably an ancient mistranslation from something more like undercover to in a carpet, but nevertheless, it's a good story and one that has been used in countless paintings, movies, and TV shows about Cleopatra, and now Drag Race. P.S. Trixie and Jujubee on the pit stop also seemed stumped by the carpet reveal, so you're definitely not alone. All right, well, thank you, Chris. Look, I gotta be honest with you. It's kind of embarrassing. Apparently, I'm the only person who didn't know this little fact, because I spoke to a non-American, and they accused me of being a dumb American, and then I've spoken to Americans, and they've all known about Cleopatra wrapping herself up in a rug. I was completely unaware of this story, so it might just be one. Because look, Vanjie knew it, and Vanjie didn't even know how she died. So apparently, everyone knows this story. So okay, well then there you go. There's that part of business. Part number one. Thank you, Chris. Part number two is you're gonna hear Yvie Oddly right after the break. Adam Salandra, in theory, is my guest co-host to interview Yvie Oddly, but he was having internet problems. So I don't reference this because he's going in, he's going out. There's video of him like trying to. There's a whole other Adam Salandra show going on while I'm interviewing Yvie, and he's logging off, he's logging back in. He can't get anything to work. So. You do hear from him, but you don't hear from him very much. And I just wanted to tell you so you don't think that I'm being a microphone hog and not throwing to him. And he's just sitting there as I just yammer on. When he is there, I do throw to him immediately as soon as I can. But he was having internet problems. And he addresses this a little bit in the show. And so you'll hear it. Other than that, I thought it was a great interview. There is a part, I kind of pitched this in the last episode that Yvie got like really angry with me. And, in my head, in my memory, that's what it was. I didn't have that sense when I did the interview with her, but then we had some afterthoughts who were listening live, and they got the sense that she got really angry, and they were talking to me about it, and they had all their little opinions. So in my head, I'm like, well, maybe I missed it. And she got really angry with me, and so I was sort of like hesitant to edit the show because it was like, oh, this is gonna be so cringy to hear her get really angry with me. But I'll be honest with you, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't bad at all. I think my initial reaction was the correct reaction. We're having a conversation. And as I've said on other shows, I feel it happens just past the halfway mark. We have this little back and forth about asking her about her condition, her medical condition. Which, by the way, I had numerous back and forth emails with her publicist. That was never mentioned, not to bring it up. Before the show started, I asked if there was anything that she didn't want brought up. She didn't bring it up. So I don't know where that came from. It didn't come from a bad place on my end. So, but it was fine. It was fine. And like I said on the other show, she stuck around for like 15 to 20 minutes afterwards. You hear it ends in a really good way. It's not even awkward at all when you hear it. I kind of even feel badly for plugging it that way now that I've edited the show. So anyway, with that in mind, I'm not going to waste any more time. It's a really good interview. If we get to know the real Yvie, you do get some Drag Race tea. I think it's really good. So here it is, the Drag Race recap interview with Yvie Oddly, right after the break.
This episode is supported by FX's Clipped, the scandalous story of the 2014 Clippers owner's racist remarks captured on tape and heard around the world. The series charts the tape's impact on a dysfunctional basketball organization striving to win against their reputation as the most cursed team in the league. Starring Lawrence Fishburne, Jackie Weaver, Cleopatra Coleman, and Ed O'Neill. FX's Clipped, streaming June 4th, only on Hulu.
Dear Colgate, I love that you love that I love being at home. You even let me whiten my teeth from home. Because you know how I feel about getting up from my cloud couch. The Colgate Optic White LED Kit gives professional-level results in just 10 minutes a day for 10 days when used as directed. And that's why, Colgate, I want you to meet my parents. Because ever since meeting you, I've been living life to the brightest. Colgate Optic White. Find it at all major retailers.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
And we are back. We are back with the one, the only, the inimitable Adam Salandra.
Hi, everyone.
No, also Yvie Oddly is
Glad
here
to be
too. Winner of season 11, RuPaul's Drag Race. She is here. She's promoting her book, All About Yvie, Into the Oddity. Comes out June 19th.
I know it's all about
Coming
me.
up.
Yeah, but look, it should be. Now, let me ask you this. And here's the weird first question I have for you. How many of these interviews have you done so far?
Like in my lifetime?
Sure. You know what? No, you know what? Yeah, in your lifetime. Yeah, in your lifetime, if you had to estimate.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna say like 40. I'm
Okay.
gonna 40. I've talked to 40 people in my whole life.
That's 20 more than me. Now let me ask you this, because the reason I'm asking
One thing leads to another.
is everybody, you went like viral last week for your interview that you did with Drag Race T Serve, whatever his name is.
Oops.
Yeah. And here's the thing. And I'm being honest, and I want you to be honest. Is there anything left about Drag Race that you haven't said, that you haven't written in your book, that you haven't said on an interview? Is there anything left?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's plenty, but the thing is, it's not really mine to share. And so I, there was so much that happened. There's so much that I saw. There's so much that would make juicy, hot gossip tea. But if the other girls don't want to speak about it, if it didn't want to speak about it, then that is their prerogative. Because clearly we're all we're all just trying to live and shit. So I really wasn't even trying to stir up the pot anymore. It's just I had to spend so long not saying anything about what that experience was actually like for me. And people get to make these assumptions. Apparently, even going viral last week, they're still making assumptions and reading in between the lines instead of just accepting the fact that there's so much more to this television show, this competition, all of it, than anyone who hasn't been there could ever understand. And that, no, that's just it. Is there's so much there that everybody can spill hot, juicy gossip and tea, and it's not my place to say their business.
Have you heard from anyone since that went viral? Whether it be another contestant, whether it be from World of Wonder, anything?
Not really, especially because, I'm really not trying to poke the bear anymore. There's nothing I'm trying to get out of the situation. There was nothing I can really gain from just airing these grievances other than just getting it off my chest, speaking my truth, so that when people come up to me and say that they really loved me on All Star 7, they'll understand why I wince a little. Before I put on the fake smile and I'm like, yes, it was so slay boots, mama. And that's the one thing I ever wanted out of the whole situation. Like when I was posting about it on Twitter in the first place a couple of years ago, was I was so upset that I just had to carry all of this secret baggage alone and smile and pretend like there was absolutely nothing wrong with the experience for me. And it sucks because I know that in airing my grievances, people are gonna say I'm ungrateful or I'm bratty, I'm not deserving. I'm familiar with how human psychology works, but it is what it is, bitch.
Yeah, no, but you bring up an interesting point. One of the questions I had for you, and I actually think it ties in. Let's go back to a happier time, I think, maybe. Because one of the things that's always fascinated me is you film the show in the summer. So you film season 11 in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And then it doesn't air until, I don't know when years it airs, around January. I don't know when 11 aired, right?
Yeah,
and
for us it was February.
Okay, so February. So you're in the finale. You're in the finals. And you have to hold this secret, which I am assuming was a happy secret, for months. But this time, you're not a winner. You're unknown. So the question has always fascinated me. Because especially by season 11, you know what's coming a little bit. What is it like during that time between September and February? When not only do you know you're going to be very famous, at least in the gay community, and B, that you're going to do very well and nobody knows it. What's it like to live with that?
Isolating.
Oh, really?
Isolating specifically because, we are in the future. We do have the internet. Reddit does exist. So it's not like nobody knows it. It was 9 months of just pretending, and not even good pretending, just people being like, hey girl, I read that you did really well, girl, don't forget about me, girl. And me being like, I don't know what you're talking about, especially because at that point it's especially isolating because when you get on Drag Race at all, your life changes. Everybody who loves you and who's ever known you, your relationship with them changes and goes from everyday shit to what we all do when somebody in our life succeeds, which is, I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you. And so like it was especially isolating being in that period. When people were so proud of you and are like, "Ooh, girl, I just want you to know I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy." And they had no idea what I had really done yet. And to kind of like cap it all off, it distanced me. Like, that's all it was, is our relationship changed. And nothing about my life had changed at that point. Nothing. I was still working my job. I was still struggling to pay rent. And so it's weird being like, I'm in the finale of Drag Race, but how am I going to eat tomorrow? And who can I lean on for this? Like, what can I do? Why won't people? It's also a weird time because, people recognize that this is the last time that they're going to get to book you, work with you, do all that shit for cheap, make their connections. And so, it's just a strange time. It didn't feel human to me.
That's what I could imagine. But that would be almost the strangest time. So, Landra, did you want to jump in here? Do you have any questions? You want to say anything, or you just want to look pretty?
I might just stick with looking pretty. But first, that was actually a question I've always had. So I love that you had that, Joe. I was curious how you would compare your two experiences on those two seasons, 11 and then All-Star 7, in terms of what felt better, what you liked more, what surprised you more between the two.
Okay. Well, they were vastly different because of the nature of things. When walking on season 11, nobody knows what they're doing, for the most part, except for Vanjie. No one's been on reality TV, even the social media stars and shit. We'd all had to learn that experience of like, oh, okay, so this part is for TV, but this part is for the competition, and this part is for TV and the competition. Like, learning that whole dynamic was strange. And what was weirder was going back to All Stars, where we all already know that part of it's done. So I liked the professionalism aspect of All Stars. We were there to do a job. It was very easy to like go in, kiki, have some fun, give a little bit of drama or whatever, and really just enjoy being there with each other and like seeing all of this amazing art and doing your best drag. That was my favorite part about All Stars. My favorite part about season 11 was the competition. It's no secret that I did not like or think very highly of my competitors at the time.
Has that changed?
Yeah. I feel like I got humbled as fuck. If not by surviving that competition with them, then by like going out into the world and really seeing how drag is done so differently and how it means so much to so many people. And like, as much as I clearly was right about what it took to win Drag Race, that my attitude about how to approach people and like, how people approach their own artistry has definitely changed. But I loved the competition on season 11 because it felt like a real competition. Whereas because All Stars was, full of professionals trying to make a TV show, it felt like, we're here to make a TV show, and look, we're gonna do a little song and dance. This is totally a real competition for you, I promise.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I think that this show is made fun of, our show, or people don't like, or they do like, or whatever, is a lot of the hosts, including me sometimes, are very heavy on the trying to call out producer manipulation, and a lot of shows do this. But what is the reality? What is the reality of producer manipulation, whether in the confessionals, whether on the show? What's the reality of that?
I mean, TV. Before I was on the show, I was a fan of the show, and I think there are ways where we can all see that the producers are really strongly trying to tell a story. Like, that is their job first and foremost, is to take all of the footage or whatever and tell a story. I think people read really weird and really deep into producer manipulation. Not saying that they don't like have plans, goals, like they have a fucking meeting every day to be like, okay, here's what happened today in the workroom. What are we gonna do about the story? What direction are we taking it? So, of course there's gonna be some amount of manipulation, but everyone assumes they're just like so hardcore in like trying to change every little narrative and every little this and that. And the way I honestly, at least I see the editors, because that's a big part that people bring up when they talk about producer manipulation. They assume the editors and the producers all are just one big team and the same person, and they're not. And often what I've discovered is that the editors have to do the job of telling the story, of piecing together the story in ways that the producers like have decided to go. So, shit happens. Shit is produced, but it's deeper than that.
When you said that the producers have meetings every day, obviously you're there. How much are you aware of what they're discussing behind the scenes? Do they bring you in, or you're just living?
No. That's their shit. They go off in a tiny trailer. They put on their ancient magical robes and cloaks. They say the secret spells, and then they send a bitch home. I don't know the actual nature of the conversations. I didn't suck any of the dick to find out like what the producers are feeling about this and that. It's just, it is what happens. You can see them at the end of the day when we're all packing our shit up, or when they're ready to pack their shit up, and they all go in a trailer and they talk about what happened. That's how TV is made. So it's real, but I think fans are just so ridiculous sometimes about the extent they think the show is manipulated and why and what for. Like, most of the things in the show revolve around RuPaul and what she wants and what she feels and what she likes. And people forget that she is the big producer, the big head, the big name, and the face. So, like, ultimately, if you're seeing producer manipulations, you're just saying you don't like what Ru wants in her own show.
It's funny that you say that, because one of my favorite things, I'm not sure if it happened on season 11, is when RuPaul pretends to be surprised by something, that like as if she doesn't know. So she'll be like, let's say you and Silky got in a fight or something. She'll be like, "What's going on, Yvie and Silky? I feel like a tension." I'm like, "Bitch, you." Like, what's going on? And you guys obviously know what she's doing when she does that. But is there, when you're on there, is there a need to like make Ru happy and to give her what she wants? Or did you feel that, or did you not feel that? And how was that different from All Star 7?
I mean, that's what I think defines the differences between All Star 7 and season 11 for me. Is I went on season 11 and I so badly wanted RuPaul to like me. I so badly wanted her to like laugh at my jokes and like be there with me and kiki. And it was strange watching it back because, I got a lot of positive critiques. I got all of that. But the kindest things and like the most love she showed for me was always during the judges' deliberations. So when I was there, like filming it with her, I did not think RuPaul liked me very much.
Really?
Yeah, which is not like a big, oh, RuPaul doesn't like me. I mean, obviously it sucks because that meant that I was going to have a harder time winning the competition. But, you know, I didn't think she liked me very much, and I was working so hard to impress her. And when I went back for All Stars, I went in with a completely different mindset because I had already proven my worth. And this was just about, for me, kind of showing people why I was crowned in the first place and how I had grown, what I'd done with my life, you know, the ways that I had evolved. And so I really wasn't worried about impressing Ru until I got in the workroom again and really felt deep how much she didn't like me. And not like an I don't like you, not like a like just seeing her interactions now for 2 seasons, like with people like Silky and Jinx, who she sees them and she falls in love. We don't have that kind of connection. And so All-Star 7 was strange because I went back not at all worried about impressing her, and then immediately for the rest of the competition, the person that you got was there again being like, please, RuPaul, just like some fucking thing I did. You already crowned me.
Yeah.
Really? There's nothing, please?
Yeah. Well, she's very cool. She's very she wasn't giving you anything. But where do you think that is? Because I do get a sense from RuPaul that there is a real person and a person that she's pretending to be. And do you get that sense on the screen? I'll give you a good example. She's very like peace and love and oh my God and Course in Miracles and whatnot. But I don't get the sense that that's really her. I don't want you to get into like gossip about other people and stuff like that. But we've heard stories of her BTS where she's not the nicest person, you know?
I mean, I see it honestly as a duality. I see it as exactly what drag is, the person you want to be and the person you are. And we all do drag so that we can be the person we want to be, so that we can become the person we want to be. So the person that she wants to be is mother, is kind, is caring, but you know, with all that she's worked for, with all of her success, with the way people treat her and interact with her, like, of course she's not fucking sweetheart on the block. She does not have time for that. She doesn't have energy for that. And if she spent all of her time and energy, you know, like pouring into people and the interactions and shit like that, then she probably would be doing a lot less with her life.
I'm going to take your finale number and tie it into what you've been talking about, believe it or not. So I was there at the season 11 finale, and I was in the theater, and I had good seats, Mama, right? Mm-hmm. And I want Yvie to know I had good seats, all right?
It's important.
It's very important. I was sitting by this horrible Todrick Hall. Anyway, so I'm in he's a horrible person. So then I'm sitting in the theater, and you do your number, and I'll be honest with you, in the theater, and I'm going to tie into what you just said. In the theater, it didn't really play. And I was like, whatever, it's fine. And then I saw it on television, and I was like, this fucking whore, this bitch, she thought, and this is going to what you were saying with the duality, with thinking about TV and what it makes. She made an outfit that plays for television. It wasn't meant for us in the theater. It played on TV. Because in the theater, we didn't get to really see from our seats the face and the mirror and the this and the that. And so it just seemed like, oh, she's just walking around doing this thing. Would you say, was this in your thought process when you were, not necessarily what was playing in the theater, but playing definitely for television when you were designing that outfit, coming up with that outfit?
I mean, yeah. I was, I mean, I always, for everything I put on Drag Race, I was trying to think about the bigger picture. When I would prepare these packages, you know, I was thinking about like what people have already seen from me, what they haven't, what colors do I wear a lot, what shapes have I not tried out, what's really going to make the most impact. And specifically for season 11, because it was people's first time seeing me, I wanted to give them what I ended up being known for in drag, which is being completely unexpected. And that's really what I was thinking about when I made that outfit. Is people expected me at this point to come out in some crazy alien outfit in some bright, obnoxious color. People expected me to do flips and tricks and have the performance be about that. And if I had any reveals, they would probably be like season 10 all over again, because we were just coming off of that. And instead, I wanted to give people like an artistic, powerful, minimal statement. So I came out in a big brown dress, everybody's least favorite color, in my mirrors that, you know, you guys couldn't really see there in the seats. And I did probably like the most controlled reveal I've ever had in my life, to be like, this is my final piece. This is my final statement on this season, and like why I deserve to win.
So, Landra, I feel you've been quiet. My fault. Do you have anything you want to add, say, do anything here?
I have one more question, and I'm just hoping that when my internet didn't kick me out, y'all didn't already talk about it. But you mentioned earlier that when you came back for All Stars, you all knew what you were doing because you had already done it before. But it also sounds from previous interviews and some stuff you said here that there were some things you weren't like it just didn't go necessarily as you thought. So what were the surprises, since you already came in sort of knowing how the show works?
You know, as we touched on briefly, I've said a lot in other interviews about how I was surprised at the kinds of critiques that we were getting as winners. I was surprised that we were getting very harshly critiqued, as if they were trying to make us into winners instead of celebrating that we are. But more than that, I really was just surprised at how touch and go so much of the season seemed to be, as far as like making it come together. You know, they sent us out our runway list and like the first draft of their songs for us to learn or whatever in advance. And so you think that like they have everything planned out. They thought how this is going to get there. And there were just so many points in that competition where us being confused about the loopholes they had or the gray areas that they left or the things they didn't really think about, and us having done it before and bringing it up to them immediately changed the path of the competition. See the random TikTok dance challenge that happened after some contestants threatened to quit.
So you're leading me to my next question, and I'm going to try and phrase it in a way that, to honor what you said, you're going to speak your truth, but not necessarily violate anybody else's experience. Did you personally, Yvie Oddly, did you get the sense when you were there that it was slated for Jinx, or that they're like, oh, they're really favoring Jinx?
It's not even. I feel like I use the wrong words in saying rigged, because rigged makes it seem. But I think in what the show looks for, in what they like, the type of drag that Ru herself really, really falls in love with. It's not a secret to anybody that Jinx is literally the epitome of like how to win RuPaul's Drag Race, and it wasn't before our season. And so before even like going on, like we got a lip sync list, and I swear half of those songs were old Broadway standards. No, legitimately, so much of the list was catered towards, I'm going to just say, older, not dancing sort of performers, more cabaret acts, if you will. and when I got there, so I already knew going in, I was like, okay, so this is Jinx's competition to lose. Not really worried about winning it over Jinx. Like, doubt that's going to happen. I was just shocked to see the kind of treatment that she received from the producers during our whole filming experience. And how there really was no winning, not even the competition. There was like no flattening out the treatment or giving it to everyone else fair with her.
So I'm going to push back a little bit, because didn't you say that sometimes people overthink the producer manipulation? But this literally sounds like the definition of
no. But that's the thing, is manipulation. That's where people get lost, is they think, oh yes, we love Jinx so much, we're gonna craft a whole competition for her. We're gonna make her win this lip sync. And obviously they did that last one at the end, but
I was swallowing water and about to interrupt. Yes,
but for the most part, when I'm talking about like the dynamics, it is all about how the producers and us and Jinx all interacted during the making, during the filming of this, the kinds of drama that we did get into with each other. That was, I'll say, sometimes coddled by the producers in ways, and inequalities were shown. And instead of like doing anything to fix them, they were like, the rules are a little vague.
Yeah. So would you say you had one experience in season 11 watching the show back at a bar or whatever, and then was it a completely different? Because I'm sure in season 11 you're like, well, that's pretty much how it happened. But on All Star 7, were you like, what is this that I'm watching? This is not what I experienced.
I still remember going to the premiere party with all of the girls and watching it and seeing how happy all of them were that, they scrubbed away all our fuck ups and mistakes and like, oh, she did this wrong. Even though I thought that was some of the funniest shit that happened in the first episode. But I remember going to the party with the girls and seeing how happy they were that we were going to get a celebratory, perfect winners season. And I was fighting back tears because I already knew what the fuck that meant for me. Like, I knew that, first of all, I knew that meant I had absolutely no chance of winning. She already had hers over Raja. Because if they weren't going to show any of the pain, any of the mistakes, any of the critiques, any of the hard stuff, you just took away all of the reasons people rooted for me on season 11. Like my drag was not the best drag on that season. People rooted for me because of me, and they stripped away my story. So
you're giving me a good segue. Can I open this saying I don't want to talk about Drag Race, and we talked about Drag Race the whole time. So let's talk about your story. You have EDS. How has that been? How is it? I mean, you've said it gets harder and more degenerative, but like, where are you today on this? What does this mean for your future? And what are the plans for your future once you can no longer do drag?
Who said I can no longer do drag?
Oh, you know what? True. Good point.
Yeah. Like I'm doing drag right now and I'm sitting my ass down.
That's true. Yeah, that's right. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Okay. So what does let me rephrase. What does the future look like to you?
The future looks like one where people stop asking me how my EDS has affected me because I'm still living, I'm still thriving, and they realize the question's boring after 10 or 15 years of being like, oh, okay, I was just hoping to get like a real sad spot where she's like in a wheelchair now, or like that's what people are really looking for, is the fucking trauma porn, and I'm not going to give it to you, okay? Sorry.
No. You know what? I'll be honest with you. That's fair. It's not a position that I expected or wanted. Trauma porn. You know what it really is? I'll be honest with you. It came from like, you're a complete person who has different facets apart from RuPaul's Drag Race. We were exposed to very little It's a very fair point to make, but in our head, I'm like, oh, well, this makes us find out the more complete Yvie. It's not coming from necessarily a trauma porn.
But that's the thing is, no. It's trauma porn, and it's not your fault. It's not people's fault for being curious about it. It's the trauma porn that I gave to the show. It's my story. It is a part of me. I do still have EDS. It is still wrecking my body. But like. But that is just so fucking limiting. It's so limiting that like that's all people, all I get to stand for, or that like that, not even that's all that I get to stand for. It's limiting that people's scope of me coming and telling this part of my life, this struggle that I'm going through, is just there to ultimately satisfy trauma porn that we all like. And that's why I'm saying it's not your fault, it's not my fault, it's not anyone who asks me fault. I just know, like, deep down in my soul that if I came out tomorrow and told people that I could no longer perform in drag, if I could no longer do that, I would get articles written, I would get a flood of love, I would get so many people being like, oh, this is so inspirational, because that's what they're looking for. That's what we're all looking for, is the sad part of the story. And when I went on Drag Race, I was determined to not give the sad part of the story, no matter how sad it fucking makes me. It makes me so sad that I'm losing the ability to do things, that I can't control my body, that I'm probably going to have a very expensive medical future ahead of me. But like, the things that I'm still doing right now are so much more important. They're so much more important. And I just kind of wish we lived in a world where like we could celebrate humans and artists and people's contributions, like, while they're contributing, because I'm going to be so pissed when I'm dead and there are a bunch of fucking people in my inbox and posting about how I was underappreciated and how like not understood, or how you loved me and shit. Like, why is it so hard to see somebody's humanity when they're thriving, when they're working to be alive?
Have you found that people have found that you're not? Have you found that you're underappreciated? Have you found that people haven't been doing it? Because you did say, and let's look for a change here. You said when people found out that you were going to be on Drag Race, in that in-between time, everybody came out of the woodwork. They were like, we're so proud of you. Was there a certain point where that faded? Was there a certain point where you went back to normal again?
I mean, that's the weird dichotomy of being on Drag Race. And this is what I was trying to explain earlier, is to everybody in my life, I'm already successful. That story is over. So I already made it. So anytime I see old friends, old family members, I'm always going to get the I'm proud of you. And people, and I'm having a really hard time getting people to see that my story isn't over, that, you shouldn't be done with me just because I did it, just because you assume I made it, just because you assume like all of my dreams came true, and then that's the end. Now time to like look on to something else. And yeah, I do feel that. The drag world is constantly changing. And to be quite frank, I've been working my ass off. I've been working my ass off to try and make an imprint of my own, to try and get people out, to try and get somebody to see me outside of what they got to see on Drag Race. So yeah, I a part of me like does feel underappreciated, but not even that I deserve more, just in I know I'm going to get more when I'm dead. And I know that's so fucking dark to talk about, but
No, it's not.
I can't stop thinking about it. Like, whenever a celebrity dies, whenever an artist dies, whenever somebody in our community dies, everybody pours out so much love. Everybody lets them know now that they're gone, like, that I loved you even though you weren't perfect, that I see you even though you weren't perfect, that I'm like willing to give you a chance, that I want you in my life, even though like we're not always going to understand each other. And I wish like I wasn't fighting to survive as an artist for you know, for me to be able to like live on it until I'm dead. I wish that people weren't waiting until I was in a wheelchair. I wish that people would get out of their seats and like go see what the fuck like your favorite people or whatever you want to comment online have been doing. And I really hope that, you know, I get the chance to like make more memories, make more art, make more connections, and like really live a little before it goes to the dark, before I'm in a fucking wheelchair or in the ground.
So you know, I'm sure there might be people listening going like, oh, why did fucking Joe ask that fucking question? But I'm going to tell you something. I'm glad I asked that question, and I'm glad you responded the way you did, because now it's actually opened up a real conversation. So my question to you is, and maybe you don't, because you've talked in generalities, but how does this happen for you? How do you see yourself? I'm gonna take the same question about the disease and flip it. How do you see the future for you where you are appreciated? How is that manifesting itself? What does that look like to you?
For me, it looks like when a stranger approaches me on the street because they recognize me, they have absolutely anything to say about what I've done and what I've been doing and living and giving outside of Drag Race. Anything. Like, it makes my day so much when not only am I bringing somebody else joy, but I can tell that they actually cared about the art that I did instead of the TV show I was on. Like, when somebody asks or says something as simple as, oh, I liked that one song you put out, or, oh, like those photos you did, like, you know, just something to relate other than Drag Race, because that tells me that you don't value me.
Wait, okay.
You value Drag Race. You value that I'm a winner.
Okay, I hate that it took half an hour. This is what I wanted to get to. We asked a bunch of Drag Race questions, but I don't give two shits about the Drag Race. But here's what I will say: is I just remembered something right now, Yvie. I just remembered something because it's my job, unfortunately for me, to know everything Drag Race outside of it. And what I was gonna say is, you're saying this, and you want people to do this, you want people to do that. And I remember right after, this is when you were a winner, a reigning queen, there were stories. I haven't heard these stories since, but there were stories on Reddit about people going up to you after gigs and that you weren't the nicest person. Is this explaining that? Is this because they were coming up to you and wanting to talk about the show? Like, no, look, before you say anything, I want you to know, go to fucking this iTunes and look up our reviews and see the horrible things they say about me. So I know how the Drag Race fans are. They have horrible Jabba the Hutt shit about me and stuff like that, right? So I know how mean they can be. But I want you to, because this actually speaks to what you were saying. You want people to recognize you for your art, for your song, for other things other than Drag Race. What happened when those things were happening?
I mean, this is just where I've evolved to this point that I'm at right now of wanting somebody to see anything I've done outside of that show is where I'm at right now. When I went off on people originally, it's because I wasn't fucking ready to be famous. And I know that sounds so weird and so contrived from somebody who auditioned for, competed on, and then won a reality television show. But I did not do it for fucking fame. I didn't do it so that like somebody would know my name. I did it so that somebody would know my art, so somebody would know my soul, so I could like feel like I could relate to people. And it was like I said, I just wasn't ready for it, because that's not what it's like being famous. And so when overnight I suddenly became something for people to talk to and take pictures of and ignore all their boundaries, I was like, fuck you guys. Like I'm already giving it all. I already did all of the TV shenanigans. I'm a fucking pile of bones here. I think I didn't feel like anything was real at that point. The love, the hate, like any of it, I didn't care, because it was just overwhelming, and I hadn't even gotten to feel what I wanted or feel anything honestly yet. I was numb.
No, this is the answer to the question I asked you at first about sitting out for 6 months, because I was just having a conversation about the question I was going to ask you. And I was telling the person, do you know who I feel sorry for? Susan Boyle. Because I go, imagine being a nobody in some northern part of England, and in 24 hours, because that video went viral for people who don't remember, from America, Britain's Got Talent, and she sang the Les Miserables song. The most famous person in the world in 24 hours. That must be the most horrifying thing I've ever seen. I've been in Los Angeles. I've seen the paparazzi at Malibu Country Mart. People, you've probably gotten this, Yvie. If people are like, well, you signed up for this, blah, 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 blah. I'm like,
that is sick.
No, until you see it. No, I would be there at the Country Mart, and you would see like a paparazzo, like the celebrity is like where the camera is, and they're like right in their face. And like, it's awful. No one would ever want to live like that. So is that something where you're like, no one can prepare you for that?
Yeah, no one can prepare you for that. And I think, to some extent, different people who go on the show or experience overnight fame or whatever the fuck, like, are more or less equipped, are more or less ready to handle what comes with that. And all I wanted off of season 11, as I said over and over again, was reality. Like, that's what I was expecting when I was in that competition. Be real with me. And so the hardest part was feeling like my reality, my realness was commodified and made fake. Having so many people who I know don't actually give a shit about me walk up and try and snap a picture because I was a hot thing on their TV at that time.
Mm-hmm. Does the show in any way, shape, or form, maybe they do now, prepare you for this? Like, hey, listen, this is going to happen. This is what you need to do, XYZ.
I mean, yeah, they do offer help. They have like Queen Care now. They like give you tips and shit, but like I still maintain that there's no handbook you could write that can prepare you for how it feels to go from being anybody to somebody, like anybody to that body, to being the one person in your circle who is on everybody's minds, even though you're not thinking about them right now. And that's what's weird about the dynamic. And it took me a minute to get used to and to realize that, that's what humans do. We idolize other humans. We make them into these beings, these creatures. We put them on pedestals. And if I saw one of my idols, I'd be gobsmacked too. I'd want a picture. But it did take some time, and I just needed some patience, and I was not getting it at that point. When I said all of that, it's because people had started crossing my boundaries. I would tell somebody no, they'd take a photo anyways. I'd tell somebody no, and they'd start cursing me out and calling me ungrateful and shit. And I literally just did like 80 fucking backflips for you bitches for the 5th night in a row. So I was like, no, you don't get to do this. You don't get to own all of me.
Yeah, you know what? I can actually relate. But let's go to Salandra here. Salandra's been going in and out. I don't know what's going on. Do you have anything, Salandra?
Well, I was just wondering, based on what you were saying while I was actually here, did you get to a point where you were able to sort of balance that feeling and be like, okay, I understand I was on the show, people see me this certain way, but I also have a lot to show regarding my art. Did you find balance, or is it still a sort of something you're working through?
I mean, based on the last topic, of course, I still want people to see me as more than an experience on Drag Race. I'm still like hungry for people to care about my art outside of the context of a TV show. But it happened, honestly, what really did it for me was the pandemic. I was working nonstop, giving nonstop, pouring myself out nonstop, and then had to stop, and then had to think about like what was making me happy, what it means to like relate to people, to have this experience, to be in my shoes, to be in their shoes. And it really helped me humanize the people who I felt were dehumanizing me. So I take pictures unless I really don't want to, which is still my prerogative. I like give space and patience and time for the fact that this person probably has no idea what they would ever say if they met a celebrity.
Yeah.
And I try and make things a little more comfortable by breaking the ice and freaking him out.
On the finale, remember, Adam, I don't know if you know this, I was at the season 11 finale in my good seats next to the horrible Todrick Hall. When they crowned Yvie, Adam,
yeah,
she said something. It was cracked out. She goes, "Now I'm gonna eat a baby," or what did you say?
Yeah, something like that. Like, yeah, follow your dreams and go eat a baby.
Yeah, and then they had to go back and refilm it. Right? What did you hear? What did they say to you? Oh, I think they said it on the. I think the director said it in the theater. He goes, "Yeah, we can't really have you say eat a baby." Yeah, and now I know what they did. Yeah.
Oh, they did.
Yes.
Oh. I had changed it in my mind to them just like having a quick personal conversation, being like, "Hey, girl, we're gonna film it one more time, okay?" No, they were like, "She fucked up."
Yeah. Yeah. They were like, well, by that point, it's like 1 a.m. and everybody wants to go home.
Wants to pee.
Yeah, wants to pee. Yeah, wants to do whatever. And what is it when you're at the finale and you're getting ready for all that? What's the energy like backstage? You guys even have time to kiki backstage while RuPaul pretends to read cue cards and stuff like that? Do you ever have?
I mean, we had time to kiki, but if you think any of the energy there was in kiki mode,
oh really?
No, we were cool and like good Judies, but it's the final stage in a competition. We were back in Drag Race again, and so everyone was nervous. We were all focused, nervous, like in our zones. We would kiki, we would tell some jokes, but the underlying energy is everybody was trying to win. Well, not everybody. The bitches I was still competing against, I guess.
Yeah. Why would Vanjie be nervous? So, Landry, have anything else before we let her go? I mean, Yvie's been very generous with her time, but I could literally, Yvie, I'm not even joking. I could talk about the stuff we talked about in the second half for hours. That's the stuff that's fascinating to me. Like, that's the part where I don't know why we got caught up in the Drag Race stuff, but that's the stuff that it's more interesting, is the behind the scenes, the dealing with the fame, the people wanting a piece of you. And that's the part that's more interesting to me. If I'm being honest with you.
That's why I'm excited. Really, I'm excited for people to get to read this book.
Yeah.
Because it is all about me. It's not just the Drag Race stuff. Like, yes, Drag Race is a major section of it. We break down what happened. I spill the tea on like every episode by episode.
Oh, really?
We went in, but more than that, it gets us familiar with each other to the point where you can now learn something else about me, where we can have a conversation that isn't about Drag Race or how I've got a degenerative disorder.
I should just keep talking about it right now. Like, so Yvie, what are you gonna do when you have? All I'm gonna do is just talk about that now. All I'm gonna do. No, but like I said, I'm not lying. I'm not lying. I'm glad I did that because, again, like I said, I feel that was when the conversation shifted to like, okay, you want to do this, bitch? Let's talk for real. Because before that, it was just like, what was Silky Nutmeg Ganache like? Oh, by the way, here's some. See, Yvie wouldn't know this, but I would know this because I was in the audience for season 11. I was seated not just next to the horrible Todrick Hall.
Good seats.
But also, Silky has like some sort of like nephew or little boy. There was a little boy there with like a white guy. I don't know who the white guy was, like a caretaker or something like that. But they were sitting behind me, and I could hear their heartbreak when she didn't go forward. And like I was there, and I was just like, because I kind of like cheering, you know. And then they're like the little boy's crying.
And then behind he's like, no!
Yeah, he's like, no! and the white caretaker's trying to like care for him. I was so happy for Silky, and I was like, "Oh, this is so awkward." That's what happens when you sit there. It's kind of amazing. Adam, any last thing before we let Yvie go?
I just want to say thank you. I think I've known you to be, and certainly talking to you today, so genuine. What?
Go on.
Yeah, I'll be speaking to Spectrum after this. I was saying thank you, Yvie, because you're so genuine. It makes you so interesting to talk to, but it also genuinely makes me want to buy the book because I know you will be telling it how it is, both about Drag Race and not. To me, that's what makes an interesting story. So thank you for that.
Yeah, everyone in the chat room is saying that, and I'm going to tell you something, Yvie. For sure. This is real, and you can ask anyone who listens. I intentionally do not interview drag queens. I'm not one of these shows that has a boner to be a fucking friend of a goddamn drag queen on RuPaul's Drag Race. I often do not. But when Monique, well, no, here's the deal. Is they come on here and they don't say shit, right? They come on here with their stupid fucking double entendres. They don't say shit because they're afraid because they want to get on All Stars or whatever. I'm like, You're not going to hear anything. You know what's You're not going to hear anything. And you know what, too? I'm going to say this, too. I've said this 2 times already. I interviewed this Sasha Velour. She was so nice. She was nice, right? That fucking bitch doesn't stop talking. And then I'm the one that got in trouble by the publicist. I'm like, she's the one talking. The other one, too. And I know this is controversial. You know who the nicest, most giving drag queen I ever interviewed was?
I'm so ready.
This Eureka O'Hara. And I know
you're going to get shredded.
I've already said... I'm telling you, Naomi. No, I'm calling you. I'm telling you, Yvie. No, I was gonna say Naomi.
Ooh, my good twin.
No, I was gonna say because Naomi was only okay, but I was gonna say, is this Eureka? First of all, she keeps calling me Larry, which that's not my name, right? Which I think is funny. But she's always been so generous and actually says shit. Everyone listening at home, Yvie, stick around. We're going to end the show. Yvie Oddly, thank you so much. And we'll see you next time. I don't know what his All right, it's going to do it for this episode. By the way, you may have noticed there's an awkward, abrupt cut to like just like, hey, everyone, bye. That's because Solandra's internet, he was like, hello. He's trying to talk and we couldn't hear him. So then I was just like, you know what? We're out of here. Okay. And so that you didn't miss any big T or something. There was nothing cut out. It was literally like Solandra trying to chime in and he was behind. And it was just like, I was like, all right, I'm just cutting that out. It's not interesting. Once again, Yvie Oddly's book, all about Yvie Into the Oddity, comes out June 19th, wherever you get your book. Make sure and pick it up. I thought the interview went really, really well. Special thanks to Yvie Oddly for the interview. Special thanks to her publicist, Monique Diner, for setting this up. We'll see Robert Mata back here next week as Rulaska Thoughts on episode 4 officially launches for this season right here on Afterthought Media. We'll see you guys here next week with Rulaska Thoughts.